The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
And welcome to Chasing Purpose. I'm your host, Kathleen Conner, and I am excited to be here. And more importantly, I'm delighted that you're here to share this time. So, Chasing Purpose. Let me start by telling you who I am and a little bit about my background. I am a transformational life coach, and I help women, some men, but mostly women, help them and guide them on a path towards a life that they're seeking and that they're wanting and that they desire, and more importantly, they deserve. They're women from the age of 35 to however old, and men as well sprinkled in there. But they're going through some change in their life, maybe a new baby, a new community, a marriage that isn't quite, or a relationship that isn't quite working for them. They're maybe soon to be or are empty nesters and not sure what role they have in the world now or in their life now. I help them find their voice and, more importantly, their feet in order to guide them forward and find action and movement towards that life that they want and desire. So that's what I do. I help people, mostly women, as I say, through some life changes. We've all been there. We've all had some things happen to us in our lives. Parents pass, communities change, kids grow up. We have kids. Maybe we're a military spouse or something along those lines, or our relationship just isn't serving us. So we're here to discuss those things and those challenges that we have, and maybe those trigger points that we deal with every day that we can be better at. We don't want a perfect life. I mean, let's be honest. There's no such thing. That's such a subjective term, perfect. What does that mean? What does that mean for me? And what does that mean for you? And is my life perfect? And if it is, doesn't mean it's perfect for you as well. No, it doesn't. That's absolutely true. We're all different, and there's no such thing as a perfect life, right? So let's not even try to even shoot for that perfectionism. It's only going to help us fail and really teach us some hard lessons along the way. So let's see, I corporate executive for over 30 years in a very male-dominated environment and industry. I was often the only female or a few females at the tables or in the boardroom, certainly, and often found myself silenced by being the only female and staying in the shadows and not realizing that I was doing that, both in posture and in position in the room. So I wish I knew then what I know now about body position and confidence and saying my piece. I was always very confident and always a very curious kid. But I realize now that I could have set myself and been a little bit better for myself professionally than I was back then. But I'm glad and always grateful for the lessons that I learned through any experience. So as we start this journey on Chasing Purpose, I will tell you a little bit and a lot about what it is and what it is not and who it's for. So Chasing Purpose, to me, purpose is not a title, a career, a role, or a salary, or a social level. Purpose is, and chasing purpose is a feeling. And it's a feeling that we have when our head, our thoughts, if you think of it like that, our heart and our feelings, if you think of it like that, and our gut or our intuition are aligned. It's that alignment. It is the feeling of being powerful and unstoppable that I can help you get there, that I have experienced within myself and within my hard work. And I know how you all be aligned with your head, heart, and your intuition and your gut, and help make you have the right decisions, the right path in order to live a perfect life for you. So we're going to talk about a few things, but before we start, as this is a new experience for you all, and certainly a new experience for me as well, we're ending a year, which was exciting, and as every year ends, I will share with you, since 2021, I have reflected and been in a kind of trying to determine my path, as we always should, and worked hard on those. But I always try to determine what the past year, or the year that's ending, what it meant for me. So I'll just give you a high level. 2021 for me was about self-awareness. I have my notes here, so I'm going to look at those quickly. 2022 was about self-care. 2023 was about self-alignment. That was when it all happened. That was the moment when my head, heart, and intuition and gut align. And 2024 was about self-recovery, and 2025 was about commitment, and 2026 coming up is about self-expression. So as the year ends and 2025 comes to a close every year on New Year's Eve, I toast the year that's moving out. And I'm grateful for the experiences that happened every day, but certainly at the end of the year, I pause and I take reflection as to what that year meant to me. And sometimes I don't always say with as much grace as I could, and maybe I'm a little bit more emphatic about, let's hit the road, buddy, and get the hell out of here because I'm done with you type thing. But 2025 for me, and I'll share with you my toast to 2025, as I will do on New Year's Eve. So as I close out 2025, I raise my glass, and I will. I'm sober, so it will be probably non-alcoholic beer, to a year where slow and steady effort, not grand moments, that those moments of slow and steady effort shifted my mindset. This was a year of quiet alone time, reflections and sunrises, a year of discipline, hard conversations, stronger boundaries, and 1,000 tiny choices that pointed me forward. I listened to my inner voice, my intuition. I stopped reacting. I paused and let the silence do its work. I stayed steady and determined to build real strength. I found grace in the stillness. And here's to the progress made in the background. Clarity arriving slowly, and commitment holding even when life felt painful, stalled, and uncertain. 2025 gave me stillness. It gave me self-commitment. Nothing loud, nothing dramatic. Inner, honest peace. So I thank 2025 for the lessons. But now, as I say goodbye to you, I tip my hat and bid you adieu. Thank you again, but see you later. Cheers. And as 2026 comes and starts, I'm excited for this year as well. So that's the toast for the year that's passed. And I write an intention and try to figure out what this new year will bring. In 2025, although I won't share with you my intention, I will share that it's the year of self-expression for me. It's the year of fun and joy and passion and excitement and movement. It is a year to move forward. So again, let's talk about what chasing purpose is. It's that alignment of head, heart, and intuition. It's that when I think of something that I want, a decision that I need to make, think about it, right? We all think about things, people or places or situations that maybe have occurred or are going to occur. And then I feel it. Is that right? How does that feel for me? Does that feel aligned? Does it feel like it's serving my purpose, myself? And then in order for me to move in a direction of that decision, it has to be in my gut. And there can be a lot of fluctuations between your head and your heart, right? I mean, sometimes you just overthink. Sometimes you overcomplicate. We overcomplicate. I overcomplicate things, right? Sometimes we're stuck in our head. We're afraid of the feelings, so we never let it get down to our heart. Keep it up in our head, and we what ifs, could ifs, I can't, I won't, all of those things, the hypotheticals. We drowned ourselves in the thoughts of what happens if. So until it gets to our heart and we start feeling the grace that that decision or that choice or those things, the situation will bring, we never really get ourselves prepared for it. So we have to get it into our head and think about it, certainly resolve ourselves to the mindset about it, there's the word, and then bring it down to our heart and into our feelings and make sure that we're secure with it and that we're aligned with it. And then it gets into our gut, into our intuition. Just do a gut check. Does this feel right? Does this person feel right? Is this, and right isn't the right term. I don't mean right or wrong in those situations, but does it feel aligned? Is it who I am? Does it meet my character? Right? So those are the things until everything becomes aligned and the feeling and the chasing of that feeling and the chasing of that purpose, that alignment, that's what this is about. And feelings, like chasing purpose, chasing the feeling, is ever changing. Energy is ever changing. People are ever changing. People's moods, our moods, all kinds of situations. It's ever changing. So we feel the moment and we're like, oh my God, that was amazing. That's what I want. I want my head to be clear. I want my heart to be clear. I want my intuition to be clear. I want to just move forward in alignment, right? So we get ourselves to that place so we know it's like a moment in our life. And once it's gone because it changes, we want it back. So we're constantly searching for that alignment again. And it's the alignment again from the head to the heart to the intuition. And I will help you get to that because the more time that you feel, think, and know that you're aligned, the better able you are to deal with things and with people and with stress and with triggers and have the coping mechanisms and the tools in our toolbox. So we'll talk a lot about that. We will talk about how you can learn from my experience, right? As I learn from others in my life, mentors or just people that I am drawn to or aligned with, I take their tidbits. I would rather learn from them than have to read a whole book for one passage, right? Pick up little tidbits along the way, and I hope that that's what I can provide to you. So I'm a transformational coach helping women move along their journey. And like I said, there's men's sprinkled in here throughout that. So I don't want to say it's only men. It's only women. If men need help, I'm certainly happy to help them. But what it's for, chasing purpose, it's for people who are ready. It's for people who have done the work, who have gone through therapy. And I'm a huge, huge, huge advocate for therapy. I have been in therapy for over 30 years or so. And I believe wholeheartedly in doing that. I think that's a way of life and something that we should take more seriously as a society and as individuals. And I know that it's becoming more and more talked about as a positive thing, therapy is, than what it used to be, right? People that went through therapy, they were maybe crazy. But now, I'm not crazy. And I think that therapy is great. And there's a difference between therapy and coaching. And let me tell you how my opinion around that is. I believe that therapy, again, advocate for it. Therapy is about dealing with past things. Therapy is about maybe past trauma or dramas that have happened to you. It's about maybe your childhood, your dysfunctions or the patterns you've learned as a child. Maybe it's the little girl inside of you or the little boy, masculine and feminine, right? We all have those. So maybe it's the hurt that we felt through those. It's the relationship cycles that we go through that maybe we repeat in finding ourselves around the same people with the same partners of our last one, right? We don't identify the red flags or the red lights early enough, or we identify them and they feel so familiar to us because that's all we know, that that's what we choose. So therapy is great. And again, I'm an advocate for it and I still choose to do it often. And coaching is different, in my opinion. Coaching is about the here, now, and more importantly, the future. Coaching is about the impact that today is having on our future and the future choices that we need to make. It's about, in my coaching philosophy, it's about that roadmap. Again, it's about the preparing ourselves. We don't go out of the house on a snowy day wearing shorts and flip-flops, right? We prepare for the road that we have ahead of us or the day that we have ahead of us. We make sure in the winters when we're dealing with weather that our car is prepared, that our tires have good treads on them for the winter, and we have a scraper in the car, and that maybe even an emergency blanket or emergency kit in the back. All of those things. We prepare for those things, and we have to prepare for life more than we were taught. I wasn't taught to prepare for relationships or for earning or for decisions. No, I wasn't taught for those. I wish I was, and I learned the hard way to teach myself and to be taught by great people and mentors and therapists and friends and influencers in my life. So that's what it's about. We'll talk about relationships and how relationships are a decision. How every day we have to make decisions about who give our energy to. That our energy and our alignment, again, isn't there to be taken or taken for granted, right? That it's a gift, that our time and our energy and our presence is a gift for people that we want to give it to and to spend our time and our energy with. So we'll talk about relationships and how, again, not in a judgmental way. We're never here to judge people. We're here to learn from them, but how we can look at people in a giver or taker mentality. My father, I was a curious kid and I asked him a million questions during his life and during my time with him. And he always often said that there are two types of people in the world. There are givers and there are takers. And he said that givers always give without question and without hesitance. And we give with compassion and empathy. And he said they often forget how to take, that they often only know how to give, and that givers need to learn how to take with, again, appreciation and grace. And he said, with a tone, and then there's takers. And takers always take, always, without fail. They take and take. And he said they take for themselves and for their own reasons and for their own way of life. That's all they know. Takers never give. They take, take, take. And I always thought that that was just a piece of wisdom from him. He had a lot of them, but that was one that I always thought, and as a mom, you never want your kid to look at people and say good, bad, taker, giver, those types of things. But you want to teach them how to identify and make good choices with the people that they surround themselves with. So you want to first teach your son and your daughter to be a giver, but have the appreciation within themselves to be able to take as well, and never be a taker and only a taker. So these are just little words of wisdom that you'll pick up from me as we spend time together. We'll talk about, every week we'll talk about a subject, and some of them may be around emotions. And I've created an emotional baseline that's available on my website. And it's a simple 13-question test. You can take it in a couple of minutes. My gosh, it's no pass or fail. So don't worry about it. It's just for your own purposes. And it was something that I thought about as I went through relationships, and I started to think about my role in those relationships and the people that I surrounded myself with and where we were in our lives. And for example, when I graduated from college, I moved away within 2 weeks. I was out of my family's environment and my environment, and I was spread my wings, 3,000 miles away from Massachusetts, and I was free and free from. Unfortunately, I hate to say my mother's control, but a very strict family and a very strict mother. But I was ready to see the world and ready to experience, and I was wide-eyed, but very, very immature and emotionally immature. And so at 23 or 22, I was probably an emotional baseline of 2, maybe 7 on a good day. So an average of 5, let's just say an average of 5, which, hey, nothing wrong with 5s or 2s or 7. All of that is great. If that's where you are, all of that is great. And it's even better if you surround yourselves with other 2s and 5s and 7s, right? If you're all at the same emotional baseline or pretty close, you have a lot of things and a lot of the same kind of connection, emotional baseline and emotional connection that you can share. But eventually, right, we all, at that time, I can speak for myself, we all went into the professional world and we all experienced different things and different people, and certainly different people from different parts of the country and different ethnic backgrounds. So we were learning different things, and I was learning different things. And suddenly I went from a 2 to a 20. That probably took some time, that's for sure. It certainly took a lot of experience and a lot of certainly maybe some challenges along the way. But I went from a 2 to 20, and then I realized that the people at the 2 that I was hanging out with were still fun, and I love them, and I grew up with a lot of them, and I spent a lot of time with them. But they weren't fulfilling my needs, my emotional needs, or my intellectual needs, or my physical needs anymore. So I then sought different people. I then raised my number. So I was looking at, as they say, it's like frequency or magnetic attraction, right? When you're a 2, you then have people that are drawn to you at the same level, right? Then when I came to a 20, and I don't mean to seem like it stacks that way, it's actually a linear baseline assessment when it shows. So when you're at a 20, you then find people that are closer aligned with you. Your emotions are more closely aligned, or maybe not emotions, maybe your intellectual level are more aligned at 20 than they were at the 2 level. Nothing wrong with the 2 is, again, you're still a great group of friends and you still love them and you still want to spend time with them. And maybe those were your partners as well, and some lovers and some people you spent some intimate time with. But at 20, they weren't fulfilling my needs anymore. So I found other people at 20 that were close to 20 that were, right? So then we moved to the 20 level. And some people stay at 20 their whole life. Some people stay at 2 their whole lives. Again, no judge, but that's just where they are. And they're great people, and there's no good or bad or right or wrong with them. It's just where you are compared to them and where you're aligned with them, where your body is aligned with their body, thoughts, feelings, gut type thing. So at 20, right, then you suddenly are like, picture it like a frequency or a magnet. You then, other people come to receive your energy and receive and to want theirs at the 20 level. So that's all great too. But eventually we get other experiences. We experience other people, other things, other work environments, other situations. And maybe our level rises again. Maybe we become a 60, right? That doesn't mean the people at 20 we still don't love, we don't want to spend time with or be with them. It just means that they're not meeting our needs at the same level, as our level isn't there anymore. So an emotional baseline will talk in great detail about what it means and what it means when you slide across the scale and get yourself into a different area, and what it means when people move with you and relationship moves with you, your children, your partners, all of those things can move with you. And when they can't, when you can sustain your 60 or your 80, but someone can't, how does that feel? And how does that sit with you? And is it sustainable for you to stay at a level on the line and find other people that can meet you at your pace and place? And we'll talk about that as well, that everyone has a pace and place, and we need to be respectful for where they are within their journey. Pushing somebody, as I say, in a wheelbarrow to places we want them to go doesn't mean they get out of the wheelbarrow and join you. It just means to keep pushing it, want them to go further. And that becomes exhausting and painful and not beneficial for you or them, right? You can't convince somebody to be at a different emotional baseline without them wanting to be there, and more importantly, wanting to sustain it, because they can feel the enjoyment of a 60 or of an 80, all of that energy, and they can be drawn to you and they can stay there. Can they stay there forever? I hope they can. I hope we can all meet partners that can stay at the emotional baseline that we're at, move with us as we move, so that we can all enjoy a strong emotional baseline, frequency, energy that's important and fulfilling for us. So we'll talk about a lot of things. Each week we'll dive into relationships with our kids and our partners and our parents and our siblings, and more importantly, the relationship with ourselves. And we'll talk about how we get to the point where I'm, and you will be comfortable with the relationship of who you are and where you're going and what is aligned with you. And why is that so important? We'll talk about why people in society may feel, I may feel, we, the collective, may feel that we have to keep up an image, a social optic, perhaps, that we may need to play a role or hold a position in a community. And we'll talk about what that means to us when someone's criticism or judgment, or our fear in their criticism and judgment, or disappointing them may affect us, and why we should care about that, and if we should care about that. And we'll have some guests that appear on the show that talk about their experience, that we can learn from them. We'll talk about challenges that we face, that we can't show up to every day and every relationship, as I said, with our toolbox, and every time pull out a hammer and try to hit something so hard that it fits our way. That doesn't work. We'll talk about tone and volume and how people try to use that in relationships to manipulate and control a situation, and that how people shut down. We all shut down. Tone, negative tone, and volume, increase of, only shuts people out, only deafens them to want to listen to you. So being louder and stronger isn't always most effective and most productive way, and a healthy way to have conversations. Probably never is, to be honest. And we'll talk about how we can help not only ourselves, but the next generation, if we have kids, no matter how old they are, and how they can be better listeners and better communicators and better people for themselves, and feel better within themselves and within the person that they are and the person that they're becoming. They're always evolving, even if our kids are 40 or 30, Meinhard, but we have to realize that we're always going to be a mom and always going to be a dad. We're never going to lose those roles. They will be different, of course, because our day-to-day responsibility and tasks with our children can change as they mature, but we're always going to be able to hopefully influence them and help them understand how they can be better as we can. So I don't do everything perfect. Again, back to that perfection and back to there's no such thing as a perfect person or a perfect relationship or a perfect mom. Those are just setting ourselves up for failure. What what I want to be is better. I want to be better every day. And I don't set my yearly intentions to be better every day, every a measurement of better. It's 1%. I try to be better as a friend, as a partner, as a mother, as a person. 1%. 1% better every day. Consistency. Consistency with that 1% better. So when I said, people this time of year set their New Year's resolutions or their year's resolutions, I'm going to get to the gym and I'm going to lose 25 pounds or 20 or 40 pounds, whatever theirs is. I think again, such lofty goals, but are they attainable? And what does that mean for you? And what happens when you do? And how much harm, and are you doing harm by starving your body to lose weight? Are you doing it in a healthy and productive manner? So those are the questions that I ask my client is what is my clients are, and after that, what happens? What does that mean for you? And how do you get there? And is it sustainable? Sustainability is so crucial in anything that we do for ourselves and anything we do for any relationship that we have. Can we sustain the level of emotional baseline that we need in order to be aligned, in order to be satisfied? And a lot of my clients, or a few of my clients, talk about their relationships and how they've outgrown their partner. And I always think it's not the outgrowing, it's the baseline. It's the slide, it's the scale. It's not that we've outgrown them. We don't outgrow people physically. We do, but our emotional baseline shifts, or theirs does. But we can't keep up. So it's the identifying of, everyone should grow, right? We all should grow. We should all evolve. But it's the baseline. And are we receptive to people and to sustaining a baseline of where one we want to be, most importantly, us and ourselves, and can our partners and can our kids and can our friends sustain it? Because we all know as we increase our emotional baseline, we're not going to have the same friends that I had at 20. Sure, I keep in touch with them and I love them and they'll always be a part of my life. But I'm not going to share a house with them again. I'm not going to probably go on vacation with them again, or my life with them again as I did, because it's not sustainable to be at that level again for me. I'm not aligned with the twos of the world. And we'll talk about the difference in relationships, about understanding within communication and respecting within communication and what that means. And is it more important to be understood or respected? And can we have both? And can it be sustained within a conversation? We'll talk about how people are manipulative. We know that, right? Human nature is to manipulate. And we'll talk about how to move from manipulation, self-serving, selfish intent, to influence. We'll talk about moving from manipulation to influence. We'll talk about when we're in an unhealthy conversation or situation, and we can identify that pretty quickly and say, I'm not feeling good right now about how you're talking to me. You seem defensive or curt, and now's not a good time. Or, I've had a bad day. I need some softness. I need some compassion, and I feel like you're coming at me for something, and I don't have the bandwidth. Again, the emotional baseline for it right now. So we'll talk about those things. I think every week we'll find a little tidbit on some things and some lessons learned that I've learned from myself and my own experiences. I certainly learned from people that I've been at the same emotional baseline with. So chasing purpose is that. It's a pathway, is a roadmap that will create in order for you to live the life that you want to live. We'll talk about the curbs and the bumps and the potholes and staying within the guardrails and in our lanes. We'll talk about dealing with difficult people and how we do that. We'll talk about dealing with people who just aren't aligned with us, right? Let's hope that they're all I have clients and have had clients tell me that their partners or their friends are nice or good husbands, good spouses, good mothers, good fathers, nice person. And I always, it's not, I'm not here to judge what good or nice is. We are always the first emotion or first thing we're taught as a child, right? As you listen to a child and look at a child and if they're misbehaving, we tell them to be nice. Now, be nice, right? No, let's do good. No, that's bad, right? No, that's bad. Those are the things that we say. That's just a really shallow description, in my opinion, again, my opinion only, of how to define somebody as nice or good, right? If I live this life and on my gravestone, it is that I'm a nice and good person, I would be grateful for it because that's the type of person I am, but I would be disappointed that that person didn't see me for who I am because yes, I'm nice and I'm good, but I'm a lot more than that. And so are you. You're dynamic and you're strong and you're intelligent and compassionate and empathetic and you're willing, more importantly, you're willing to learn and evolve and grow. And you're, more importantly, you're enough. And we'll talk about what that means and how it feels to not be enough and to be met daily or often with criticism and judgment as a child, as a teenager, as a spouse, as a coworker, and as an employee and an employer. We'll talk about how those things feel and how to deal with the feelings around them. We'll work through a lot. And it's going to be challenging and it's going to be exciting. And I'm excited to be here with you. And we're going to peel back some onions. We may shed some tears along the way. I will share my journey through parenting and how I became a parent, a mother at 43. Not an easy task, not as easy as you think when you're, as a young woman, we try so hard to not get pregnant and to have the choices that we have. Thank goodness to choose birth control and contraceptives to not get pregnant. And then when we're wanting to get pregnant, we think it's going to come easy, just getting off the pill or choosing to not use the contraceptive that we had of choice, just happen quickly. Well, it doesn't, and it didn't for me. And it took me 7 years to have a beautiful son, lots of challenges and lots of disappointments, lots of fertility clinics along the way. So I'll share my challenges with you and what I faced and the emotions that went through that process. This is your time as much as it's mine. So, feel free to comment, to tell me what you want to hear and what you want to talk about. My life is really a reflection of yours. I'm no different than have dealt with a lot of the same things that you've dealt with and are dealing with. And there's no perfect solution. And as I have said to a lot of people, there's no right decision. It's making the decision right for you. There is no right decision. It's making the decision right for you. And every day we have decisions. to stay in relationships, to stay in jobs, to stay in happy moods, to stay productive, to stay satisfied. Every turn, every thing that we deal with is a decision. Do we react to it? Do we pause? Do we let the silence do its work? And that's what I'm here to help guide you and help learn from you as well, is how can we be better? That 1%. How can we decide, again, that decision factor, to decide today, and where is that 1%, and to keep doing it. Maybe it's I'm a better 1% mom. I'm a better 1% employer or employee. I'm a better 1% cook at night when I make my dinner tonight. It's that 1%. It's not setting ourselves up for failure by saying I'm going to 100%. I'm going to show up to work and I'm going to finish all my tasks complete. Some of you can do that, and more power to you. For me, it's about pace, place, and about what I can accomplish, even if it is just that 1%. So it's going to be exciting, and I'm happy to have you here. So again, it's Chasing Purpose, and I'm here every week to talk to you and talk with you. I'm your friend that sits across from you at the dinner table, someone that shares a couch with you and a bowl of popcorn. I'm here to help you fold a batch of laundry and put your dishes away from the dishwasher. I'm here so that someone you can be vulnerable with, and I can be vulnerable with you, and together we'll build safety, a relationship that we can progress to our higher and more evolved emotional baseline. So again, get your glasses ready, filled with my choice of non-alcoholic beer, and toast to 2025, and set your intentions and whatever your self proclamation is for 2026. Again, mine is about self-expression, in fun, joy, excitement. Just an expression is, again, the word of my 2026, and I'm excited for it. So I'm going to express myself to you and tell you that I am grateful to have you here. I'll express my love, commitment to you to show up every week with something exciting to talk about and some topic that we can share and I can learn from, and I can learn from you as well. So again, get your glasses out for New Year's Eve, and toast, even if it's after New Year's Eve when this airs, which it might be. Still, you've done a lot of work through the past year and the last time, so it's time to raise your glass and reflect on what you have learned, and be grateful for that, and prepare yourself for what's coming up. So we'll talk about all of that. I appreciate you all, and I look forward to seeing you here every week, same time, same place. You can find me here again. It's Kathleen Conner, Chasing Purpose. Very much. Bye.